where you realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend?
My best friend stole my identity and was using said identity to pill shop and get illegal pharmaceuticals. She has also violated parole multiple times and is yet still out and amongst our community. Even though I did not do this, I was basically blacklisted and had to bring around documentation with me that not only was she doing this, but she was also convicted of this, because it wasn't just me that she was doing it to. Careful out there, folks.
Did you ever have a time where you realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend?
So I have a lot of stories from this one person, but this is the most notable one. The very last time I saw this girl, like, we had been friends since middle school, and I thought she was my best friend in the world. And I realized later on that she treated me like absolute dog shit. So her and another girl invite me to go camping with them. And I asked my mom, I have no way to drive. I don't really have a phone. There's no cell connection where we're going to be, so there's no point. So they pick me up, we go. And when we get there, there's a guy there. They didn't tell me this guy was going to be there. I don't know who the hell he is, but he's apparently a friend of the other girl. When we're setting up, they start breaking out booze and shit, and I'm just like, okay. They forced me to play truth or dare. They forced me to drink, whatever. I'm like just with these three people. I can't get home. So I have to endure. I get uncomfortable and I start crying. Me and dude step out of the tent and they, do whatever. I'm extremely uncomfortable with the situation. Me and dude step out. They're messing around in the tent or whatever. Me and dude sit on the back of this truck and he starts talking to me, trying to calm me down because I'm freaking the fuck out. So a cop rolls around and he's like, what are you guys doing here? And we let him know the situation. He told us we can't do that. We have to pack it up and go home. I'm going to insert here that the reason I didn't tell the cop what was going on is because we were all underage. There was booze, there was other things, and I was not going to jail. I did not feel comfortable telling this cop what was going on. So the cop leaves and me and Guy go tell these two bitches in the tent, hey, a cop just rolled by. We got to pack it up. We got to go home. I start freaking out. My anxiety level is on a fucking 15 on a scale of 10. And I start telling my friend, I was like, hey, I gotta go home. I gotta go home. She and the other girl get pissed at me and said, well, I'm not driving you home. If you want to go home, you have to go with him. So I'm freaking out even more. These two girls are getting really fucking annoyed with me to the point that they just refuse to let me get in the car. And they tell me that I absolutely have to go with him. That they're not taking me home and that they're not taking me anywhere. So I have to ride back to town with this guy that I've only had a 5-second conversation with and was forced to be in a small space with. So I get in his car, and on the way to town, this dude starts talking about how, you can stay the night at my house and stay till morning, blah, blah, blah. And something in my gut told me that if I did that, I'm not gonna be safe. And I full circle freaked out. I started crying. I started screaming. I was like, take me the fuck home now. And I was like, I don't care what happens, take me home. And dude took me home and I walked in the house and I started crying at my mom. Me and that girl had been friends for years and I never heard from her again.
Did you ever have a time where you realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend?
Story time. My best friend of over 20 years was notorious for calling me crying, complaining about life, which I get is fine. But after the third or fourth time of her telling me that she was going to unalive herself and I needed to take care of her son, after the third time she did that to me, I threatened to call the police on her. And I said, you know what, someone needs to do a wellness check on you because this is not normal. She then hung up on me and I tried calling her back for half an hour. Just went straight to voicemail every time. And when she finally picked up, she goes, I wasn't really going to do it. And if the cop showed up, I'd just tell him I was fine. Our relationship ended right there. I'm not doing that.
Ever have a time where you realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend?
So I had a friend that I would help out in every single way. I was there for them whenever they needed through some of their darkest times. And then one night I messaged them and I said, look, there's something that I really need to open up to someone about. I haven't even told my family. I'm a bit worried. And I said I was going to tell you the other night, but then I didn't because I didn't want to burden you. And they turned around and said to me, well, if it's going to burden me. And then they said, I mean, you can tell me, but if it's going to burden me. That's when I realized it was a one-sided friendship.
Realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend.
I had a friend, a very best friend, who lived right across the road from me. Like, you know, your dream best friend. Our kids were friends. Me and her were best friends. We did everything together. I'm going to skip all the dirty details, but long story short, I found out that my husband was fucking my said very best friend, and then 3 weeks after I found out, he died. So yeah, she wasn't my friend.
Did you ever have a time where you realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend?
Yes, almost constantly, but this is the one that stands out. I was having lunch with a mutual friend of my best friend at the time. I'd been best friends with this girl for about 7 years, and they had had an argument, and I was defending her, and he looks at me and he goes, do you know what she calls you behind your back? And I go, no, what? And he says, well, it's an abbreviation, and it's FC, and the first word is fat, and the second word is, I can't say it on TikTok, but it rhymes with hunt. I guess she had been calling me this behind my back for years and put it on social media, and was always talking about me in code, and I never knew what it meant, and then I knew what it meant. And so not only did I realize that she wasn't my friend, this other friend wasn't my friend because he was trying to use that information against me to get me to like him more.
Did you ever have a time where you realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend?
Yeah, recently, and that shit hurt. When I was leaving my abusive marriage, this friend had helped me a lot, and I always showed gratitude. I was also rebuilding my life again. So I was making new friendships, and she started to back away. When I brought it up to her, she just was like, I'm fine. It's all good. Just cold, short answers. Then I found out through the grapevine that she was talking shit about my life and the choices I'm making. Then when I confronted her about it, she just put all the stuff she did for me in my face. And made it out to be that I took advantage. And that I was neglectful to our friendship, even though I was the one reaching out, trying to talk to her and fix it all the time. Good friends don't do that shit.
Did you ever have a time where you realized a good friend wasn't actually your friend?
I had this friend, Lisa. We met at work. I was her maid of honor, and I was with her. I caught her baby daughter when she was born. Her daughter was 2 or 3 years old when she picked up evangelical Christianity. And I mean no disrespect, but I thought that maybe this caused, I really couldn't put a pinpoint on it, but I had to distance myself from this woman. Back then I was in a narcissist marriage. This was a while ago. And man, I got so much shit for like just ghosting this girl. Ugh. Over the years, I get the strangest messages from her. One time I received her invite to her PhD. She became a lawyer. At that time, I was a doctor in education. I finally got out of that marriage in 2012. And within like 6 months, all of a sudden my phone started ringing and it was all about Lisa. Lisa had been arrested for taking her daughter, I'm from New Hampshire, over the border into Quebec for soliciting her daughter on Craigslist. And she was later convicted. At that time was the first federally female convicted of child molestation. She's currently serving 40 years in Connecticut. Here it is. I'll warn you. Trust your knower and fuck everybody else who goes against it. It knows. I'd rather not find out sometimes because this one still makes me sick, but trust yourself. You can trust you.
If you found the one, you should never give her up. I think it's the way life changes when in love, yeah. I surround my soul with the